So I'm a black female, and when I went to meetings, it was dominantly all men, all white men with just me. So I felt I always had to stand out to make my point. In the background, I was making it, not knowing it myself. And so when I became a supervisor, I said my goal was to try to help bring another black woman up. When I did that, I got flack. Did you notice she hired all from my counter male parts? Did you notice she hired all black females?
Too many of you guys.
You know, but it was just me for all those years. It was one other black female, but she already had told me, I'm not going to hire any black people.
Oh.
And she was black like me. But I said, that's not how I feel. If I ever got in that situation, I said I was going to pull somebody up. So when I did that, not only did they happen to be the best candidates, they just happened to be black women.
Right.
You know.
Yes. Right. Yes. But it's interesting how you have to mix things up. And when you were talking about that, that also made me think about Barack Obama, too. And a lot of African Americans get mad because he hasn't done enough for the black community. And it's like, you know, he's in a position as well, or I think he's probably like, I'm thinking for him, just my speculation. You know, it's like, you know, I've got to stay very global and very, you know what I mean, make sure that I'm making a difference here. But I think when you get in positions like that, it's like you got to make sure that you're thinking about unfortunately, you do have to keep a balance. And you have, as long as the candidate is qualified.
I have a Chinese on my team. My lead is a white male. I have a Hispanic. But there was no problem with me hiring that until I decided to hire black females. Then it became a problem. But they never addressed it to me. I would hear, I just kept on doing what I was doing.
Being successful.
And they couldn't realize, why does she have the best team? And I would just
that's because you're exactly.
That'll
cure it every time.
And I'm only as good as my team.
About President Obama, you know, I've heard that statement too. People saying, "Oh, he hasn't done." But you know who is going to benefit? Her.
Right.
Yes.
The babies coming after. You know, my Gigi has never known. She's 4 years old. She doesn't know any other president but Barack Obama. So maybe because we are benefiting ourselves from something that happened before we were born.
Right. And
so
it takes
just
time.
because you don't see the results right now, it does not mean that something wasn't done that she is going to benefit from, her children will benefit from. You know, that's the way things are happening. Because think of all the things that our ancestors went through that we don't even know about, and some things we've heard about, and how we have benefited from what they did for us. People died so we could vote.
Exactly.
You know, they
but
did.
it's a lot of people won't. We had a meeting with the coalition of 100 black women in Phoenix, and we had Cindy McCain there, Republican side, a few Caucasian women, and one of them happened to say, I forget, she holds a position in the Senate, but she said, do you happen to know why people will not register to vote? And I just happened to answer because she thought I was going to be wrong. She was like, oh my goodness, you're right. The number one reason why, because they don't want to get called for jury duty. So they would choose not to vote. I had heard that years and years and years ago. So when she heard that, because she was just thinking, I didn't think anybody would know that. And I was like, oh yeah, I know that because I knew somebody who was like, I'm not going to register to vote because I don't want jury duty. But that's just it. But to piggyback on what you said about, that was you, about working. University of Phoenix, since I don't work there, I can say it. University of Phoenix, when I worked there, I had transitioned to a couple positions. That was me getting ready to move out of corporate America because I was like, okay, I don't want to do this department anymore. I'm transferring, It was me transferring out, really. So I wind up having a black manager. And boy, actually, before he became a manager, he interviewed 13 times before he could become a manager. Now that's just more than 13 times. I said, how did you? That's a show in itself. How do you keep going?
Right.
But he kept going to see if he would get it, and he got the position, of course, and he used to catch a lot of flack all the time. And he told me, we had a very diverse team. Anybody knows University of Phoenix, it's a very diverse organization, even though they had a big lawsuit years ago. Anyway,
Talk about that though.
he had told one of the directors, told him, now you know you reached your black cap. You can't hire any more black people on your team. I was like, are you kidding me? So he would tell me these little things. I'd be like, where's my notebook? So, and what did he say that? Because I will jot who said it. But it was just different. No other teams, that maybe had 90% all white. They didn't tell them you couldn't hire any more white people. But they did let him know you don't reach the cap on your hiring your black people.
Right, met their quota.
So that was that. So that's all that kind of shade in the whole different way. But I kind of want to go back to about working for a woman versus a man, or any issues that have taken place that anybody may want to share. We can go around. You can say yes or no, or show of hands. Is there any preference at this time that anybody has that they prefer, even if they're not working, if they were working or whatever, that they would prefer to work for a female versus a male?
I prefer a male.
Male? Male?
I don't have a preference.
I
prefer a female because in the medical field, I'm a nurse, but in the medical field, the men that I have worked with, they're usually not as hard working as the female in the medical field. Well, because the men could get away with so much stuff, and because a lot of the patients were women, they think they were God just because they're men, but they weren't as hard working. So I prefer.
So in the nursing field you're in, you said that men were not
as hardworking
as women in the nursing field.
Right. By the supervisors that I've had,
Mm-hmm.
the men could get away with more stuff than the women can, because patients tend to not think of male nurses as nurses. They would think of them as doctors. They're older. Thing. And so they respected the male nurse more than the female. See, I could go in and tell them the same thing, but they wouldn't acknowledge it as much as a man tells.
Oh, wow. I experienced that in our job, too.
Wow. Yeah, so the men could be slack and not do what they should be doing as what's considered quality nursing. And they could get away with it. Oh, he's the best because he's sweet.
Wow. And that was coming from women saying that.
Right. Older women. Yeah, exactly.
Would you sum that up as basically to say that white men have nothing to prove? So many people before them are out there and have created this image. Right. So when you see one, you automatically give them the benefit of the doubt, whereas everybody else has something to prove.
Right. Somebody, exactly.
So we have to go
I think it's a hierarchy too, like maybe white men,
white women,
black men.
Some
people say black women before, but that's kind of like a
talk. They'll trust a black woman.
Sometimes organizations they say feel more comfortable with a black woman. I guess it's less threatening, maybe. But as a woman, period. As a woman, period, because I think some of the stories, like Beverly even told, it was a black woman, right, who said that to you. It was a black woman. So
probably because of the restraints that were on her, trying to keep her job.
Right. So I'm just saying, is it even with, because I've had I'm thinking back, a black female manager at one time, and then I had, in that same company and I transferred, I had a white manager, and he was totally different from her. He was just like, oh, Audrey, you do great work, just do it. Just go. Other than her, every 10 minutes seemed like, it's like I gotta, every 10 minutes you need to know what I'm doing. Him, it was just like, at the end of the day, we good, you got it, it was good. He knew what I could do. He trusted my work ethic, and he let me go. Where the problem with her is she wanted to nitpick me you know,
She wanted that
20 times before
female
lunch.
dominance.
I will admit to something.
Admit,
I will say
admit.
something. No, seriously, being in that position, if I had an opportunity to manage someone and help them to be able to grow, knowing that I had to be 110% better than my counterparts, I would put that kind of pressure on that individual. However, I wouldn't tell them that, you know, I'm being harder on you because of this and
You
that.
would not
I
tell
would
them?
not specifically say that, but I'm saying you have this opportunity. This is what you
So
need to do.
why would
I wouldn't
they-
say, I wouldn't label it a color thing, but I'd let them
Okay,
know.
I get you.
Yeah, I don't label it a
I
color
get you.
thing. I think I put myself in an HR position. I mean,
Okay.
you know what I'm saying? I
Yeah.
get myself in trouble. But what I would say is, you know what, you have this opportunity. I believe in you. You know, that's why I'm giving you these extra responsibilities. That's why, you know, I'm pushing you out there a little more, you know. And I'm not that I don't want to sound like I was doing favoritism, but if I saw something in someone and I knew they had a lot of great potential, I would invest in them. You know, and so maybe it's perceived.
I
you know,
agree. I agree. Sometimes when you see, just like even maybe with our kids, you may push because you see something or whatever, or employee or whatever. My only thing that I may disagree with you on, and I know probably if you had your HR hat on, you couldn't.
Right.
So I'm listening. But I would just want to say, hey, I'm being harder on you because. You know, sometimes I like to try and tell people, well, why I'm being hard, because I don't know if they take it as, wow, would they take it and be at a conversation like this black lady was being so hard on me because I was another, you know, because she didn't know maybe you were trying to invest in her or
I will
get her
say-
to the next level or whatever.
I will say, honestly, my hope was that they heard that without me saying that. And I couldn't,
trying to
I honestly
throw
could not
innuendos.
say
Okay.
that for HR purposes.
I get that.
But I really, you know, I really hope that's what came through. I wanted them to hear that without me saying that, if that makes sense.
And
I know what you're saying.
I get what you're saying,
I know.
but I didn't want to put myself in a position either.
Right.
And
How
I
did you
do
take it?
I do that.
Go.
And I've done that with her. She's on my team.
Oh, okay.
And so I do that with her. I'm giving you this, I'm giving you that. Because one day I'm not going to be here. And I want you to be in a position where you can step into my shoes. Donna, I do that with
All the time.
I do that with her all the time.
But you're able to tell her
I
why.
can tell her why.
Oh, yeah.
And she knows what I mean when I'm telling her this. Because she works in the same environment as I do. So.
Okay.
I just, whoa.
Communication,
I
right?
just had a flashback. No. And this is beautiful because
Yeah.
as a young teacher, it was about my third year teaching, and my supervisor was a black woman who was the mother of a friend of mine. So essentially, she felt like a mother. And I remember her pushing me to do certain things, putting me in the spot sometimes, giving me opportunities, and I'd be like, no, I don't want to do that right now. And I remember her saying certain things to me, try to guide me and steer me in a way, but because she never blatantly said why, I took it as her in a negative way.
Yeah.
The perception.
And sometimes it felt like she was, hugging me, and I was like, you know what? I appreciate that. Please challenge me. Challenging me versus criticizing me. I guess
There's
it
a
was
difference. There
right.
is a difference.
There's a difference.
Yeah.
And she had the admin hat on. So she had to play that role. She couldn't say everything she wanted to say
Exactly.
in certain ways. And we're still in contact to this day. And even just recently, she reached out and was like, hey, I got a job for you in such and such place. Do you want it? I didn't at that time, and I'm not in a position to take it. But wow, I'm still thinking, okay, wait a minute. Now, this is what... Some teen years later,
Still, yeah.
I can see it now.
Right.
I can see it. So I appreciate that, but I do think it needs to be said. And I hate the fact that we feel like we're bound by these limitations of not being able to be openly honest because we're wearing certain hats. And we
I'm
can't
just
take that
honest.
outside.
It don't matter what hat
Should
I
be.
have on.
Should
And
be.
everybody in my job, they know it.
Right.
If I have something to say, I'm going to say it.
And see, and I was told, don't rock the boat.
I always rock the boat.
Right. My boat stays rocking. I'm in America. I do not rock the boat. gotta rock it to keep moving.
Yeah,
That's true.
So I didn't get where I was not rocking that boat.
Right.
Because it was hard for me going up that ladder, so I done almost turned that boat over, you know. But
Right.
sometimes there's things you have to do.
So
That's right.
So would you, I'm sorry, so would a good advice be then if it was, let's say it's this female manager, boss, whatever, and I'm the employee, and I feel that, oh, they're just going in and in and in, I see how they treat other people, would it behoove me then to say, hey, I need to sit down and have a meeting with you?
You know what? I would honestly suggest that, and I respect that.
Yeah.
You know, when someone
That's
says,
right.
you know, what's up, Yvette? You know what? I feel like you're on me about this, on me about
Yeah.
that, and then I can say, because I see the potential in you. I see
Yes.
where you have
Yeah.
opportunity, and this is where you could be, and all
Yeah.
this stuff. So I think that I would
Conversation
I would
is
encourage
good.
someone if someone came to you and said, I have this boss that, you know, is on me about this, on me about that. If nothing else, most often, if the boss has the right heart, you know, it's respected. You know, more so than anything else.
So Rochelle, I kind of want to go to you because I know what field you work in. Do you want to kind of shed some light?
We get all of this out. You mean for my regular job?
Yeah.
I'm
I
a probation officer by trade.
Okay.
So,
So I figured it may have been something maybe.
yeah,
with
we
that.
have a lot. There's a lot going on, and we take. It's a hard position to be working in law enforcement as a person of color. Let me just throw that out there first of all, because we get flack from not only in the job because they don't want us there. It's very difficult, but we get it from the community too because we're viewed as sellouts. You forgot where you came from. I've heard it all. So we have to walk it's a tight line that we have to walk because I get both sides. Everything with the law enforcement, it's messed up. The system is not built for us. It's built to hinder us and to keep us down. It was built that way. It's not broken. It's doing what it was designed to do. And my personal opinion is that it does not need reform. It needs to be done away with and redone completely. That's just my personal opinion. So in the field, you know, the upper management in my department, there are no people of color at all. And we've had supervisors, the black employees we went through a period where all of the black males only, were not making it off their probation for whatever reason. I know what the reason was. It wasn't because they couldn't do the job. The men only, for some reason, they don't like black males.
Right.
So we went through this period and the department got in a little trouble. And so now, you know, they're trying to rectify that. But it's just a hard situation regardless because being in that position, you don't know. You're always afraid if you speak up what the retaliation is going to be. So even in that, you have to play like a political game, and it's rough. So, I really don't know what the solution is. I tend to be a little just honest, and I'm known for that in the department if I say something. Or they always come to me because they know I'm just going to give it to you straight.
Right.
And how I am is I just say it and let the chips fall where they may. If I have to get in trouble for it, I'm going to get in trouble for it. But I'm not going to sit up here and sugarcoat stuff. I'm not going to lie. This is how I see it, and that's what it is. And that's just how I do it. Not everybody is like that. And I always tell my coworkers, because they always come to me and they're like, well, this is going on. You know, should I say something? And I always preface it by saying, if you can't take the heat, don't do it.
Good point.
If you can, I can take the heat, but if you can't take the heat, don't do it because at the end of the day, you got a mortgage to pay, you got children to feed. So, you know, you got to pick
Be
and
accountable.
choose. You have to. So, I mean, I don't really have a solution other than.
So
it's just rough.
is it more male dominance in where you're at?
Nope, it's all Caucasian females for the most part.
Really?
Yeah, we do have some males there, but for the most part, like the upper management is mostly, our chief is a female, and we have a lot of women in positions of authority, more women than men, but no Hispanics, no blacks, no Asians, no, it's all Caucasian.
So in so I would imagine, so there's no, we all know what law enforcement is or how we perceive it or think it to be. So is there any cattiness? Which is there? So, you know, because people love to say, is there a lot of women, there's going to be some cattiness, there's going to be a problem. You know, if they see all these women here, they would imagine it's some drama going on right now. So
I was gonna say it's very it's cutthroat, and that's a nice way to put it.
whoa, okay.
It's cutthroat.
And you think, and is it cutthroat because it's the females that's running it? I'm just trying to be real. Do you think? I know you wouldn't know, but your perception. This is your field. This is what you've been doing.
My perception
Is it that cutthroat with the men leadership, or is it just more cutthroat with the women leadership?
No, I think it's cutthroat with the women, and I don't know why that is, because it's not like there's a lack of opportunity. So it's not like everybody's vying for one position. It's not like that. So, you know, if you want to promote, the opportunity is there. But for some reason, people are just, it's like psycho. They're just, you know, any and every opportunity to bring the next person down. Why that is, I have no idea.
And that's like this thing I posted. If I have my phone, I can read it verbatim. But basically, it said, they had this really good quote. That's one of the best quotes I've heard about hater. It's not necessarily that they're jealous and want to be you. They just want to make sure they knock you down a bit.
That's right.
They just want to chop you down. It's not, I don't want to be Yvette or I don't want to be Audrey, but I'm going to make sure I say something to chop her down. And an example was, Tamara and I laughed about, I mean, we thought it was the funniest thing. In the some of you guys may have saw it. It said, here was the example that the person that was rah for this person. Oh, did you know Joe Blow just bought a new house? Yay! And the hater they had, well, if he just bought a new house, why he driving that old 89 Taurus?
Yeah.
You know, it's like, you got to go. My thing was because he got the pink slip. That's not why he got the 89 Taurus.
Sure.
But the thing is, see how they said to say, they were trying to give a compliment about why they got a great house,
Right.
or why they still driving the old car. Well, why you gotta go there?
Right.
But that was so clear to me because I've seen exactly that example was like exactly, exactly. Don't just be happy. You just gotta find a dig to chop that person down so they can come up off that pedestal or whatever you think that other people are putting them on. Or
And you have to be careful because as soon as they do that, it can go through the whole group, just like that one person.
If you're not strong enough.
I used to have, I chaired the Association of Single Sisters, and we had 40 black women that were single in my group. And the group was going really good. We was just having so much fun and doing so many things and learning so much. And 2 girls came into our group. It almost wiped the whole group out. Just because they would say, oh, she thinks she knows this, or she thinks she knows that. And why do we always have to do this? How come we can't do this? And how come we can't? But they was doing it behind the scenes.
Right.
And some of the weaker women, they just fed right into it.
Right.
You know, oh, you're right. We should do this. We should do that. And why is she? You know. And I think that's just the way it is. Maybe, you know, somebody say, oh, Beverly, she thinks she's something just because she got long hair. And then you haven't even met Beverly when you're like, well, so as soon as you see Beverly, and if she do this to her head, like, oh yeah, she does think that. That's true. Really. So that's why soon as you find out something that's really going to be a problem, you have to nip it. And right then, nip it, call them to the side. You said this, you have that. You know, you have a problem with this, and why do you have that? Can you give us some more suggestions on how we should be doing it? You got to nip it.